Hi, good evening. Good evening. Welcome. My name is Kwabena. Welcome. I want to share with you today money pressure. Money pressure. The pressure from money when we don't have enough. Money pressure. I remember when we were little, when we were young, there was this song from Raskimono. He said that under pressure. Under pressure. Nobody likes pressure, but it's of necessity that we learn how to handle pressure, because without pressure nobody moves. Without pressure people uh, live with little aspirations. It's important that we understand the pressure that money brings. They say that a lot of the world's population live constantly by worrying about money and how much we don't have enough for the basics of life. For the rent, for the food, for the children's school fees, for the clothes, the basics, not even the ones that you are thinking of in terms of, let's say, buying a car or building even your own house, or maybe buying very expensive clothes, things like that. Majority of the world's population is constantly under pressure, and the pressure is coming from the lack of money or not having enough. We are all being taught and programmed, to fight poverty. But the only thing is that the tools that they have given us to fight poverty have not worked well for us. So your parent, my parent, your mother, my mother, your father, my father, they wanted us to live, to have enough money. That's why they told us to go to school and be serious with school, write the exam and pass, so that we could get a good job, so that we could take care of ourselves and take care of our family. But people have gone through all these stages and they still live constantly under pressure. And the pressure comes from money and the lack of it, or not having enough. They say that in economics, I didn't do economics, but they say that in economics, remember my sister said that human needs are insatiable. I didn't see that, but I think it makes sense. But at least you want the money that can take care of the primary things. Not so much. Not so much. Not to live in extravagance, but the ones that can make you sleep and not worry about not having enough to pay the school fees. That you can at least pay your landlord if the time is due. Our inability to endure the pressure destroys a lot of things. If you want to live about the pressure, especially the one that comes from the lack of money, you have got to learn how to endure that pressure. That the processes that you would have to go through, the discipline that you have to go through to get at least enough of the money. Because let's say they're asking for the rent and you don't have it. You worry about it. You live in pain. You struggle. But to work through the process to have enough so that next year you will have the rent would also call for some kind of discipline. And that kind of discipline will also come with some kind of, your ability to endure and handle the pressure to create enough. So there is a pressure that comes from the lack of it. And there is a pressure that comes from you being able to fight and getting to a stage where you can have enough to handle the basics of life. They have given us information about life, and much of it comes with money. They say that money is blood, sikai moja. And there are a lot of money that they have linked, there are a lot of statements that they have linked with women, and money. Women don't like poverty. All kind of things. And these sayings or these folk tales or whatever they call them have shaped our way of handling money and the pressure of it. They say that a lot of people constantly think and worry about money. Majority of the world's population, they say that just maybe about 80% of the world's population or more constantly worry about money and the lack of it. But they don't know how to endure the process and possibly live beyond the lack of it and get into the place of at least just having enough to take care of the basis. Not even to live in the abundance, but just to take care of the basis. That when tomorrow comes, you'll be able to have enough money to buy food or to pay rent or to pay the school fees. We are not even talking about the pressure that comes from owing. But we are talking of the pressure that comes from, let's assume you don't owe anybody. But the pressure that comes from not just having enough to take care of the home that we constantly think about. The level of understanding is proven in how, in terms of money, in how long we have endured the process of lack of money. If you constantly live in the lack of money, in not having enough to take care of the basis, it shows that our understanding of money is not good enough. We may not accept it. We may have been living in denial of it, but constantly having pressure from the money is a proof that our knowledge, our understanding, our wisdom of money is not in good shape. We need money to fuel our vision. We need money to do a lot of things in this life. But yet, they have also told us that the money is evil. A lot of people believe that. I remember when we were children, some people were even quoting that even King Solomon or somebody said that, told God that don't give me enough of money. Something of that sort, I don't want to get enough of it so that I don't miss you or so that I don't become disobedient to you. They say that statement came from him, but if indeed came from him, he had a lot of money anyway. So possibly he didn't live by that. If only it came from him, I don't know. There is a lot of pressure that we can handle in this life if we take care of the pressure that comes from money. I think that the duty of every man and the duty of every woman is to first of all solve the lack of money problem than any other thing. I think it's a thinking. I could be wrong. But the lack of money, not having enough, we worry about it. A lot of people take jobs just because they just have to have the pay to have some kind of money to take care of themselves and the family. Yet people trivialize what it takes to live beyond the lack of money. A lot of people will even give you advice that money is not everything. You don't have to worry about money, you just have to have a little of it. I don't buy those things. I think that if you have what it takes to get more money, get it. And if they say that money is not everything, yes, we know money is not chair, money is no phone, money is not me, money is no water. But a lot of things are solved with money in this life. So your philosophy of money is what has been responsible for the pressure that comes with the money. The lack of it. It's our philosophy. It's our teachings. It's our convictions of money. If you live in denial of it, or if you lack it so much, if you overrate it, or if we trivialize it, either of them will create some kind of pressure. And the pressure mounts a lot when you don't have enough. When people struggle, when you meet anybody and they say that, Jack, life is tough, life is difficult, things are not good at all. All those things, most of them are just talking about the pressure that comes from not having enough of money. Let's say you are sick and you don't have enough to go to the hospital. Just 20 Ghana or 300 Ghana. Life becomes difficult. We may not have to have enough abundance. We may not have to have a lot of millions. But I think that when it comes to the basis of life, every one of us should come to a stage where we have enough of the money. And it's our individual duty and it's our individual responsibility to conquer that battle, to fight enough to have enough of it. At least the budget for the month, you should have enough of it. At least. But it's deceptive for us to be told that money is not everything. Yet that's the only thing that a lot of people worry about. And you see that most people have not even taken their time to study money. Not at all. We take our time to study carpentry. We take our time to study law. We take our time to study medicine. We take our time to study everything. But we don't study money. And yet that is where a lot of the pressure of life comes from. We just have to make the decision that is important. We have to make the decision to say that, listen, money is important, so I've got to have some. Just as we make decision to say that I want to marry, you have to make that decision that at least the money that I can use to take care of my family, I must have it. And I must go through the process to get it. I must learn it. I must study it. I must get the skill that it takes to get the money. And the first decision will be to invest in yourself in terms of what it takes to get the money. Because that's how you're going to handle the pressure, especially the lack of it. If there is constantly, every day, what you will eat. Remember when you were in JSS or secondary school, somewhere like that, so every day when you were getting up, you were thinking of at least something to go and buy the kinky, and buy food. Because we didn't have enough. So it's a choice and it's a decision. Some people gloss over it. They act as if it's not important. And they bury themselves in everything but the money. Some people even believe that if you work well and you commit to good work, you will have enough of money. And some people have worked well all their lives and they still worry about the money. Because working alone or going to do your job does not mean that you can handle the money pressure. A lot of people work, they get paid, but every 2 weeks of the month, the rest of the 2 weeks of the month, they have to endure the pressure that comes from the lack of money. A lot of marriages break because they can handle the pressure that comes from the lack of money. Some people give up in life that quickly because they can't handle the pressure that comes from the lack of money. You can live all your life in denying it, that it doesn't matter, but it matters. So we all have to make a choice to deal with the pressure that comes with not having enough of money. The pressure. We have to decide that I have to handle this. It's an issue. Lack of money sometimes comes from people who are building businesses, and you're constantly under the pressure of not having enough. Constantly. You may not owe anybody, but constantly you don't have enough to take care of the growth of the business. You don't have enough to pay yourself or even to pay the others. To pay the electricity or to fuel the car or to repair the car, whatever it is. And the pressure that comes from it is huge. And most people think not only that they cannot even handle the pressure, but the pressure of it, the lack of it, that comes from even the closest family that they have. Maybe the wife, the children, the friends, the relationships that they have. Because people see you constantly struggling with not having enough. So you are always the one asking people for help. Going around asking people to buy, even you cannot get what to eat. If that is the situation in your life, which a lot of us go through anyway, that we have to almost all the time call somebody to help us, I think that you have to make a decision to solve it. Because if you don't solve it, you can endure this pressure all your life. And it will not be the pressure that you are going to go through in terms of handling abundance of money. Because it's not those who don't have enough who only go through the pressure. There are those who also have a lot of money, but who have got to handle the burden of having a lot of money. But I think that it's better to have the pressure of having a lot of it than having to deal with the pressure of having not any of it. At least that one you don't worry about what to eat. And if there is any disaster, if there is any incident, if there is anything that was unplanned for, at least you will have enough to take care of that. So the pressure that comes from money, you have got to handle it. It decides the head status, it decides the temperature at home. Sometimes it decides even the things that you constantly worry about. Your dignity sometimes is at stake. The respect from the society and the family is at stake. Because everybody laughs at you. Everybody ridicules you. Because you don't have enough. You don't have enough. You cannot pursue your dreams and realize them if you cannot even take care of the pressure that comes with the lack of it. And you have not handled that. So money is worth studying. Money is worth studying. To get over the pressure that comes from the lack of money, there's a skill, there's information, there's knowledge that you have got to have. Our constantly having the lack of money is a proof that we're not equipped enough. We're not given enough knowledge. We're not given enough information. Why do you think people take advantage of people? Why do you think a lot of people are duped? A lot of people are scammed? Because of our lack of money and its information. Because all of us think that a lot of our problems can be solved when you have enough money. And I think it's legitimate. A lot of issues in this life can be solved if you're able to create. Let's say your basic household budget is 1,000 cedis, but you're paid 200 Ghana every month. You constantly live under the pressure. When the school fees is due, you'll struggle to pay. When there is problem, when the child falls sick, you have to go. And when there is constant lack of it, even your children are not inspired to follow you, no matter what profession that you have. Let's say if you're a lawyer, but there's constant lack of money in the house. We have to go and cry and beg. If you tell your children that become a lawyer so that you have a successful life, they will not listen. Let's say you are a teacher, and every time, just 1 week after payday, there's pressure. You cannot inspire your son to take after you in teaching. He will go squarely opposite to you. Why? Because he doesn't want to go through that pressure that you always send them through. Let's say you're a nurse, and there's always lack of it. And lack of money to make necessities of life, the basic necessities of life. It's one of the reasons why people get a lot of diseases. Pressure, depression, worry, even divorce. So we have got to learn that it comes with life. You can learn a lot about everything, but you can overlook the money. Or you can live in denial of it. So we have to solve the money pressure. It takes bold decision. And it takes realistic assessment of your situation and of my situation. If the job is not paying enough, if the business is not paying enough, if whatever you've been doing for the last 10 years, for the last 15 years is not paying enough, you may have to learn how to add up something to it. Because just hoping, because I think that one of the things that we continuously live under pressure in terms of money and the lack of it is because we think that by chance something will happen and the money situation will improve. Nothing is going to happen until you decide to solve the money and the lack of it, the pressure that comes with it. Nothing is going to happen. So it's a choice that we all have to make. If you don't make that decision, you constantly go through that situation. You are not even thinking of getting the money to start a building or getting the money to maybe live a lavish life. Just the basics of life, the basics. Because the money that is coming in is not enough. The problem may not be just the money that is coming in, which is not enough. The problem may be our understanding of money, our philosophy of money, and what it takes to make at least the minimum to cover the expenditure, the basic personal or family expenditure, the monthly ones. And so if the pressure continues, it means that we are refusing to learn about money. And I don't think a lot of us have been taught about money anyway. All that they told us is that you work for it. They didn't teach us how to create it beyond working for the salary. And so, for most people, their best way of making money is when the salary is fat. So we can live constantly under the pressure of money and the lack of it. I think that for us to live as men, especially, we must have a way of solving this problem. Or there will never be peace at home. There will never be peace at home. If you don't solve that pressure, there's constant high temperature. Constant high temperature. So my name is Kwabena, talking about pressure, money pressure, especially the one that comes from the lack of it. Because most of us think that that will easily go when we get a better job. Then we had a better job and it didn't go. Because once we had a better job and we had that increment in terms of salary, we changed our lifestyle. And so the pressure was still the same. So every month, 2 weeks, and the money is gone. And once we constantly think about money and the lack of it, it means that we don't have what it takes to solve that problem. With the level of understanding, with the level of knowledge, with the level of wisdom that we have on it. So change your philosophy of money and say that is important. So long as you live on this earth, it is important. Don't trivialize it. And it cannot be solved with money, with magic. And don't wait for somebody to come and solve it for you. The money problem is like you when you are sick and you have to take medicine. Nobody can take it for you. You have to solve it yourself. You have to. And the pressure will continue to mount. Because your living standard will go up. Before, maybe you were just one person. Now you marry. And you give birth to two beautiful children. It's not their mistake that you don't have it. It is not their mistake. It is your mistake that you don't have it. And good job will not solve the money pressure, I tell you. The discipline. And one of the best skills that you can learn to overcome the lack of it is to be ready to take the disgrace that comes from it. Let's say there's a certain amount of lifestyle, or there's a certain state of a lifestyle that you have to keep for you to create enough to overcome the lack of it. And so let's say I live in a single room or 2-bedroom with my family, and I work and they pay me 2,000. But constantly that 2,000 is not enough, because of the school fees, because of everything. So every month, just about 2 weeks, 3 weeks, that money is gone. For me to overcome that 3 weeks expenditure that we have, if let's say I'm happy to make another extra 1,000, I should be ready to take that pressure of keeping that edge, because there will be that edge. If I start to make enough money, I would want to move my family to a very nice place. I would want to change the school. I would want to change my clothes. I would want to change my car. I would want to change a lot of things just because I had extra income. For me to solve the lack of it, I should be able to maintain the same lifestyle and start to save that extra income for a while and start to invest that extra income to at least for that investment to bring in, if not what I'm making every month, at least what I'm making every 2 months, the savings that I have. If I'm not able to do that, to take, because once you start to get extra income, you become uncomfortable because people start to see you. Why don't you have a car? Why don't you have this? Why don't you have that? And most people cannot take that kind of societal pressure. This one is not coming from the lack of the money, but the society and the perception and the way you want to live like you are rich and you want to live like everybody else. That pressure, if you're able to take it well, you'll be able to overcome the lack of it. And so the people don't have to see you as rich if you have an agenda to overcome the lack of it. So you may have to just not change where you live. You may not have to, even change the car you drive. You may not have to even buy a car because you want to live beyond this constant lack of money and the disgrace and the pressure and the disagreement and everything that comes with not having enough. And so I would rather want to keep the same lifestyle, try to make enough money. Maybe I'm making 2,000. I'm trying to find another way of making extra 1,000 or extra 2,000. And keeping, because we are able to live just struggling, we just struggle with the 2,000. Maybe I keep another 500 to make it 2,005. The extra 1,000 or so, I will not move the family to a very nice environment or change my car or go back to school or something like that. I would want to save that money, put it somewhere, put it in an investment, put it in another business or open a shop, something. Start to create more revenue. So maybe if the family starts to get 10,000 every month, the family would have overcome that pressure that comes from not having enough to buy food, to pay school fees, and all that comes with, daily living. So that you don't move, you're still able to put on with the pressure, no matter the age and the discipline. You have to have it to create the essence of it. Other than that, just because you are growing does not mean that you can solve the money pressure and the lack of it. And so some people get a lot of salary, thousands, but their lifestyle is always constantly creating that pressure. So they live, they drive large, they live large, but it doesn't mean that they don't go through the same kind of pressure. Because the discipline to overcome the lack of it is not so much in the revenue that comes, but in the discipline to keep the lifestyle, so that the lifestyle that you have now, so that you can create enough to overcome the monthly income that you spend. So the money pressure, the lack of it, most people go through that all the time. And for those of us who live here, that's why we are constantly calling our brother in America, our mother in America, our sister in America, in England, in Germany, those in Togo, Kenya. We call them every day. Because if they don't support, there'll be pressure. It's like Africa's economy. The donor agencies and the donor countries don't support the economy, they can't survive. Why? Because they cannot live within their means. Because sometimes the pressure is coming from the fact that you don't know how to live within your means. Sometimes we don't know how to live within our means. And so there is constant pressure. Or you want to do what everybody does. So there is always pressure. Some people cannot pay their school fees, their children's school fees every time. But they have enough money to do adoring. It's amazing. They have enough money to go and buy all the things that they buy. Go and do their nails. They do all the things that they do. Go and drink. They are always with the boys drinking. You cannot overcome that pressure by trying to keep that kind of lifestyle. There's a lifestyle that you have to break down. Unless you're able to create a lot of revenue that comes more than what you expect. But as Ghanaians as we are, as Africans as we are, we trust so much in the things that we know. So very few people are open to learn. To learn. To learn. Somebody said that it's difficult to be a man if you don't have enough money. And I accept it's true. It's true. Because it's not the pride of any man to see the family struggle. It's never pride. That's why when a man loses his job, if he's not strong, he starts to drink. Because it's the pride of all of us to take care of our family. Almost every man. At least if you have enough. You would want to be the one to pay the children's school fees. You would want to be the one to build for your family. You want to be the one to take care of your family if there is problem. But if you are not able to take care of this pressure, because pressure is actually, the good thing about the pressure that comes with all these things is that it's supposed to move you to thinking and creating solutions. But the pressure can also immobilize you if you're weak, man. If you're weak. And a lot of us are not strong to withstand the pressure. Have you heard people who say that I don't like pressure, or I don't like pressure at all? You cannot live in this life without pressure. But you would want to create your own pressure than the one that the lack of money creates for you. So I would want to create the pressure and break a lot of things to get out of this constant lack of money, than trying to let money give me pressure every minute. Stress. You can't sleep because you don't know where to get the next money to buy food. You don't know where to get the next money to buy food or to pay the light bill or to pay the rent. And so handle the pressure. If you're the head of the family, if you're a man, handle the pressure. If you're a woman, handle the pressure. And if you're family, you can work together to overcome that. It's a decision, it's a choice. But the earlier that you see that is your responsibility, the better you can overcome that pressure and the lack of it. And don't compare yourself with another family. Every family, every individual is different. So you are different, I am different. If I want to solve the money pressure and the lack of it, I must solve it from a level. And don't hide it. If you know somebody who can help you with information, with opportunities, talk to them. Talk to people. If somebody is ready to give you some kind of information, some kind of opportunity, some kind of business that can give you extra income, do it. Sometimes we just have to do whatever we have to do to solve this situation. Because for most people, just about 2,000, 3,000 can solve the family's issue in Ghana every month. Maybe that is even extravagant. For most people, if they have 1,000 or 2,000, they can solve the family problems, the family issues. So put your ego aside, because you've already been broken by the lack of the money and the pressure that comes from it. So talk to anybody, get opportunities, do extra, work more, so that you can have enough to take care of the family. Plan with your wife, plan with your family, plan with whoever can be on board and say that this thing must stop. If it's 500 that is coming in, if you get 1,000 every month, I'm sure that we'll be able to take care of the family. We'll be able to take care of the family. So don't trivialize the money. It's so much important. Never trivialize it. Because a lot of us grew up in families where there was constant lack of money. And they damage us. Anytime that they were sacking people from the school, they sack you. You didn't have clothes. You were 4 and you were living in the same single room. And it created a lot of pressure. You don't want to do that for your family now. You went through that. It's your responsibility, it's my responsibility to break that. I need to call for superior knowledge, superior exposure, superior understanding. and sense of urgency to overcome that. To say that I want to live beyond this. And no matter what they are saying, oh, you love money, you want to save money, forget it. Money is important. If you don't have enough of it, there's a lot that you can do in this life. It's a lot. But with the pressure that comes with it, you can do something if you start to think through. You start to get the right help. If you have drinking problem, you seek for help. If you have whatever problems that people have, they look for help. When you are looking for help to overcome the lack of money, don't ask for money. Ask for information. Ask for knowledge. Ask for opportunities. Ask for things that will require you to work to become better, to solve it, because it's a problem that you can solve. If you need money, don't be calling everybody all the time. Ask for opportunities. Ask for a job. Ask for something, so that you'll be proud of you handling the situation yourself. That's how you handle the pressure. That's how you handle the pressure. So handle the money pressure. And if your business is suffering, it's the same. A lot of us, our business were suffering, because we didn't have enough. We didn't have enough to pay everybody. We didn't have enough to pay everything. But don't let the pressure kill you. A lot of business people died because of pressure from the lack of the money. Everybody is suing them, everybody is taking them to police station, everybody is saying a lot of things about them, and they give up. Never give up under pressure. If you want to quit, don't quit under pressure. Use the fuel, use the pressure to fuel you. Use the pressure to get better. Never quit on any business just because there was problem, there was pressure, or stress. Never. If you want to quit on that, quit when everything is calm. That means that you have overcome that. It means that you're ready for the next stage. If you give up because there was lack, because there were problems everywhere, you didn't learn anything. You didn't qualify for the next stage, because those things will show up again. So take the pressure. Take the pressure to create value, to create opportunities, to create extra, to create excess. Use the pressure, because that's the essence of it. The pressure is supposed to be converted to value and into excess. And man up, be a man, be a woman. Stand up to the pressure and solve it. And stop looking up to people to help you with the money to solve it. Because that when people disappoint, you become bitter. When people disappoint, you become bitter. Nobody owes you anything. Nobody owes you the money that they sweated for. If they help you, fine. If they don't, never become disappointed. If you want to become disappointed at all, it should be your inability to handle the pressure yourself. So handle the pressure, because money pressure kills a lot of dreams, kills a lot of people, it raises a lot of temperature of people. But fight for yourself. Overcome it. If your family didn't have it, it is your turn to solve it. If nobody helped you to overcome it, it's your turn to solve it. Solve it. Don't cry, don't weep. Don't become bitter. Don't become despondent. Just be a man and solve it. Overcome it gradually. Develop a strategy. Let's say you get 1,000 a month, but you need 1,005. Develop a strategy to get the difference, 1,005, and don't steal from it. Don't let the pressure make you to become another person who compromise on his values. Because most people become different because of the pressure. They start to lie, they start to cheat, they start to compromise on their values because they could not handle the pressure. If you cannot handle the pressure, you're just like everybody else. You don't qualify for the next stage. So don't let the pressure break you. Not at all. Don't let the pressure break you. Fight back. Overcome it. And don't be bitter. Don't sweat. Everyone that you see around had to overcome some kind of pressure, and the money pressure was part of it. There are three most important knowledge that you need. Spirituality. You need spirituality in terms of knowledge. And there is another one that you need. You need money knowledge. And some of it you need some kind of, how to keep good relationships. But the money knowledge is so much important because it moves everything. It moves everything. And if you don't have it, you worry. So most people who don't have enough money worry. Worry about it, worry about it, worry about it, cry about it. People who when you meet anybody and they feel like they have wasted their life, most of it is because they don't have enough. They have nothing to show for the life that they have lived. That's why they feel that they have wasted their life. If they have enough finances, most people don't feel like that. If they've been able to solve the money problem, they don't feel like they have wasted their life. Most people, especially if they acquire the money the right way, they don't feel like they have wasted their life. Most people. Because the money is how society pays you for your effectiveness, especially if you have good business or something like that. So handle the money pressure. It's a good one. Every one of us will enjoy it. Every one of us will go through it. Unless you were born in a queen's house, and maybe just by privilege of being born in a good family, maybe money will not be your challenge. But for the rest of the world's population, money is a problem. And it's the pressure that most people cannot handle. You have got to handle it. You have got to handle it. And so, at least, if nothing at all, you should be able to have enough to cover the basics. And the basics are the fuel, the food, the clothes, the accommodation, the basics of life. That you have enough. And you don't have to cheat and lie and steal to cover those. You just have to do extra. And educate yourself and invest in yourself. And don't cry and curse anybody because you don't have enough. Because you can overcome it. And possibly you can give the next generation a better presentation than what you made. Because if you overcome that money pressure, you'll be able to fuel your vision. You'll be able to take care of yourself and possibly take care of others too and help others. Because you don't need to live a selfish life, a life that is only about yourself. There are people whose destinies are linked to yours, whether you like it or not. There are people, if you fail, they will fail. And there are people that if you succeed, they will get a better chance of succeeding themselves. So it's not that when you are constantly at the primary level of the money pressure, there are a lot of people whose destiny will waste just because you were not able to overcome the primary basic money pressure, which comes from the lack of it. So there are a lot of people whose destinies are linked to yours. The vision that you have, all the things that you want to do. If you don't overcome this primary one, it will be very difficult for you to get to those because you always worry about them. The basic ones. And so thank you for watching the money pressure. Overcome it. Solve it. It's solvable. It cannot destroy you. It shouldn't. It shouldn't. And you don't have to cheat and lie to get over the money pressure. If you train enough, if you do enough, if you study the money enough, you'll be able to create another form of pressure, which will come from the abundance of the money, and not the lack of it. And no hope that somebody else will come and solve that pressure for you. Don't even give it to God. It's your duty, it's your responsibility. Most poor people wait for God to solve their financial problems, and that never happens because it's your duty. Just as you have to eat, and God is not the one putting the food in your mouth. The same thing with your money. It's your duty, it's my duty for us to overcome the lack of it. it comes from studying it, working for it, and becoming better at what you do. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you for watching.